All right. Oh, allow recording. Here we go. All right. So, hello. I just want to introduce to you Mike Beatty. He is the founder and owner, and now also wearing the hat of VP of Business Development. He wears lots of hats with his company, Preferred Drywall. They're a local concern here in Columbus, but looking to expand. He's created a business that has done anywhere between 10 and 20 million a year, and doing some wonderful things. And when Mike and I had a chance to talk a little bit, I always have a great time talking with Mike. Always learn something. And, I was sharing with him a conversation I was having with another entrepreneur who, when I talked about growing his business, he kind of freaked out a little bit. And the thought of growing his business, he said, well, there's no way I can grow my business. I already don't have enough time. And so he equated growing his business, right, with more time taken away from his family, from the things that that he really wants to do. And so Mike shared with me, you shared with me, Mike, some great insight. And so I wanted to give you a chance to share some of that insight with all the rest of us.
All right. Well, thank you, Chris. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
So I'd say that one of the big things, there's the old adage, if you're not growing, you're dying in business, which I pretty much believe that for the most part. I think it's true. As you grow, there's a lot of good things that happen. One, when you're small, a lot of people, they have to work in their company. They're an employee of themselves. They're not a business owner. They're just an employee that's working day to day. So like I'm in construction, a lot of guys that are smaller, they have to work on their crews, go out every day. And they're like, if they're in drywall like me, they're out hanging and finishing board. And that's the only way they can make their business work. But growing lets you bring on professionals to help you. It makes it so much easier, because as you bring on these professionals that have the skills you don't, you get to, like just when I hit around 5 million in revenue, I was able to bring on an accountant to work as my office manager, and she's good at doing things I'm not. I like doing something new constantly. She's great at doing the day-to-day.
Yeah.
I knew I had targets. If I hit 5 million, 10 million, 15 million, I'd hit certain economies of scale. I'd have certain leverage with suppliers to reduce prices, to raise margins. So the more we've grown, the more freedom I've had, because it gives me opportunities. I think it's important to keep growing as a business owner if that's what you want to do. Be a business owner. That is not if you want to grow.
And so how do you,
you're just an employee?
Yeah. And so how are you using those freedoms, the freedom now that that the time you didn't have to do some of those tasks that you've then handed off to the professionals, the experts in those areas?
Well, I get to spend more time with my family, which is great. In the business, the more I've been able to grow, the more professionals I've been able to hire, the more I've been able to focus on growth. So it's kind of like a cascading issue, as I've brought on people to help do things that I don't want to do, frankly, do the day-to-day data entry and all that stuff. I've been able to build the relationships with customers, focus on sales. And, I hired a CEO about a year ago, which was finally able to do that, offer him a very competitive compensation package with profit share. And that's let me, my business has exploded since I've done that. I have a backlog heading into next year that's, around 10 million in revenue right now.
And a lot of business owners,
I have under 1 million in revenue backlog, way under usually.
Yeah.
So,
and a lot of business owners would think that's counterintuitive. You're going to spend that money, and that's on the expense side. But when it allows you to do the thing that you're really good at.
Absolutely. No, you got to spend, again, a cliche, but you got to spend money to make money. But play to your strengths. We all have strengths that we're good at. I like sales. I like dealing with the customers. I'm good at that. So that's what I have been working for years as the business grows, to get more and more time to do that, and less time putting out fires. at this point, it's very rare for me to have to put out a fire. Usually I ask somebody else to do that for me. If I get if I get a call, I usually even can tell them, I'll handle it, but in the future, please call. And I tell them the right people to call.
Yeah.
Some people, I've got those relationships from when the company was much smaller. They really just want to keep calling me. I do that, but with new customers,
that's your choice.
it really doesn't happen because it's just it's not efficient. I can't do that. I can't run a business this size and be, talking about why is a crew an hour late today. So
right. So you had to put processes in place, and
lots of processes. You got to constantly be iterating. When I was smaller, I had to have a super in the field for about every $1 million in revenue I was doing to run it. Now my supers run 4 to 5 million for one super. Nice. They've gotten a little better. Most of them have been with me 10 plus years. They've improved, but the biggest change has been the business. We now have systems in place to make their jobs easier. We have people to help them. So, I don't have to keep bringing on expensive supervisors. I can bring on a guy that's hourly to run stuff around to help them out and free up more of their time. Where when you're smaller, everybody that works for you has got to wear a lot of hats. But as you grow, you can specialize everybody's role more and put systems into place that make their jobs easier. But you got to constantly be looking at the business and figuring out, what can I change? What isn't working? What is working? What are we doing good? What are we doing bad? And be willing to try things. And you're going to fail. You're going to fail constantly.
Yeah. And
what's next?
Yeah. How do your supers feel about that? I mean, so you've put processes into place, and now that's freed up some of your time. And then you turned around and did the same thing for your supervisor.
Oh, they love it. They're doing more work. They're running more work, and they tell me their jobs are easier than ever. So they still work very hard. I'm very fortunate. I have a great team, but when I talk to them, they all tell me that it just keeps getting easier essentially. And they're, you're doing 5 times more work than you were 10 years ago. And they can't believe it because 10 years ago, we're all pulling our hair out trying to get through it. But
isn't that awesome? You're able to provide for your folks the same life balance that you enjoyed.
Yeah.
And now you've got how those guys have been with you for a while, right? I mean, one of the biggest problems. One of the biggest problems I hear for nearly every business that we talk to is retention. They just can't find or keep good people.
Yeah.
You've been able to do that.
Pay well. That's a big one. So many people are trying to save $2 an hour or $10,000 a year on salary, and just pay towards the top of your field and get good people and keep them. It's way more expensive. You're going to spend way more than that $10,000 extra salary replacing a guy over and over again. It's going to cost you way more in money and in frustration and time. So find good people, make them happy, give them bonuses. That's, I believe in paying people well. I wish I could pay my people more. You can't pay more than the market allows,
right?
But be towards the top of the market. That's, make it so it's very hard for them to go somewhere else, and make it so their job is they don't want to go somewhere else. If they get an offer somewhere else that pays more, they come to you and go, I got this offer, and I never begrudge anybody if they leave. I'll tell them, if that's what you need, that's best for your family, that's fantastic. I'm happy for you. If somebody gets a really good offer, that's my opinion. And if I can match it or beat it, I always will. So.
And as they stay longer, they're getting more competent, more confident. They're getting more productive. If you're always churning, then you're always training. Yeah. And those they're just not as productive, right? So you're really honing in on the formula that helps people be more productive, more happy. They're sticking around. They've got life balance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's
a great culture. That's a great culture now. The whole
yeah. No, it's one of my big things with the business is how can I help? That's one of my values, I guess, or part of my mission statement, or however you want to put it. But I believe everybody in the company should have an attitude of how can I help? If somebody calls you and they got a problem, how can I help? What can I do?
Yeah.
And, it's funny. Sometimes my supers will call me and they tell me, and I say, okay, so how can I help? And they, never mind, I'll handle it. It's, if everybody's got that attitude and everybody's helping each other, it makes nobody wants to leave because they all like each other. Everybody becomes friends, and it makes it really easy. And when you get somebody on board that doesn't have that attitude, nice thing is it makes it very apparent very quickly.
Huh.
Which makes it, decisions about whether they're the right person or not, a lot easier to figure out. So whether
Yeah.
you're a good fit for your company, because some people want, with my company being small, everybody's got to be willing to do things that isn't in their role. You got to be willing to help with whatever. We're
Yeah.
not big enough. We're not a Fortune 500 company.
Yeah.
And
So the old adage, that's not my job, that doesn't fly
no, that doesn't work. If that's
in any small business anywhere,
Yeah.
right? I mean, yeah.
Yep. No,
It just-
you can't do it. Everybody's got to be willing to do a lot of stuff. And, in construction, sometimes the work-life balance kind of goes out the window just because of the nature of the beast. Unfortunately, we do everything we can to fix that, but you got customers, and sometimes they don't get their digs in the ground, and you get a bunch of stuff hit all
Yeah.
at once for 1 month, and everybody's kind of hustling. But you do everything you can to make that happen as infrequently as possible, and you can even coach your customers on a lot of that too, which is what we found over the years. The other thing, this is maybe a little off topic, but this was a hard one to learn. Don't be scared to fire a customer. They're not every customer is worth your time and energy.
That is hard, but that's great wisdom too. Yeah.
When you're spending 30% of your time on a customer that's 5% of your business, it's simple math. That doesn't work out. So if they're very demanding and taking a lot of time, they're just, if you can't get that down and figure out a way to work with them without those demands, there's other customers. There's plenty of work out there. You'll find more work to fill it.
Yeah. Excellent advice. Well, as our time's closing up, Mike, if for that poor guy that I talked to, that said, there's no way I want to grow my business because I already don't have enough time. What would be some parting wisdom you would give that guy and some other folks out there like him?
Yeah, just that when you grow, it frees up your time. That's basically what it comes on down to, because it frees up time to focus on building systems, on working on your business itself. I'd say one of the big things a lot of people have to do, they have to get out of working. They have to stop working. If they're running a cleaning company, don't be out cleaning buildings all day. You need time to work on your business, and it can't just be at 7 p.m. till midnight.
Yeah,
you might have to do that for a little bit, but you got to start making time to run the business versus just working in it.
So you're talking about a whole different role that you take in your business, but the benefit then comes with family time, with your, I know, and your goal, your mission, your why, your big why is, your dad and your daughter, and that allows you to do some things that you couldn't do before.
Yeah, no, my whole reason for getting into this originally was to make sure my dad was secure in his retirement, and then later when I had a daughter, make sure I could provide for her in her later years, as she gets older. And so that makes it, business is hard. Anybody that tells you it's not, it's lying to you. It's difficult, and you need a reason to keep going when things get tough, because things are going to get tough at times. And you're going to hit road bumps that you don't foresee, no matter how hard you plan. And when, I've had many a time where I was calling customers, asking for money to make payroll and pay my bills, and, getting through those times. It's humbling and it's difficult, but you just keep going because you remember why. And then now I'm very fortunate. I never have to do that kind of stuff anymore. So.
Excellent. Well, hey, Mike, I really appreciate your time and your wisdom, and that you're willing to share some of this with everyone. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Oh, thank you for having me on.
All right. Excellent.
Talk to you
I'm
later.
just going to hit the stop record here.
Yep.